Welcome back to Akamai TV. I'm Paul Jackson from Akamai, day 3 of IBC, and we're going to talk about piracy and streamed piracy and how to fight that, obviously. And here with me I have Simon Hanna, Partnerships Director of Friend MTS, and we're going to dive into this. I mean, it's interesting as we sit here at IBC, seeing how much video and new tools are being developed for delivering video over IP. Unfortunately, that's creating massive new opportunities for pirates to do pretty much the same. So I think it's really interesting and instructive to explore how they're doing that, and then talk about how we stop them doing that idea. So take us through how piracy and video piracy is happening at the moment, Simon.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say the piracy has changed over the last few years. It's been commercialized in a way that it never was before. It's a flourishing ecosystem, unfortunately, and there's a lot of money being made. Conversely, as a result, there's a lot of money being lost. A lot of operators are struggling. They're losing revenue, they're losing subscribers. There's a lot of formerly paid subscribers are realizing they can get a lot of what they want for either nothing or next to nothing at actually a reasonable degree of quality through internet services or through pirate streaming services, and consequently there are a lot of such services springing up to service the demand. It doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it legal, but it is available and that's the reality, so we have to do things about it. It's also changed from being a bit of a geeky pastime a few years ago, the fact that you could download a movie and a load of parts and put it back together just because you could. You might not watch it, but you could do it, so you felt being quite clever here. Unfortunately now, it's a lot easier to access the content through the pirate services, often increasingly professional pirate services. It's also easy to steal the content though in a way that you never could before. In our demos that we show in our booth, we show screen scraping technology, freely available screen scraping technology, which allows you to scrape and restream a subscription OTT service in real time. You scrape it, you put it up to the internet, it's available either for you to offer as a pirate service yourself or to resell into the pirate ecosystem for a number of pirate vendors to use. Alternatively, the way that we see a lot of people doing it, not just the way they can do it, the way they do, pirates do things. You can have a stack of set-top boxes from paid subscription set-top boxes with valid smart cards in there, each one taking out a different sports channel, for instance. Out the back of the set-top box, you take the HDMI, you pay $5 for an HDMI splitter, which will remove the HDCP, the content protection. Maybe a couple $100 for an encoding dongle back into a PC, encode real-time to H.264, back up to the internet, away you go, full quality HD real-time.
And that's really sort of an industrialized setup, isn't it, basically?
But it's easy to do. It takes literally minutes or even seconds to enable. Again, you don't need any particular skills, you don't need a huge amount of money. You don't need any special technology. You can buy it all on your favorite online shopping site. And as long as you've got, in the case of a set-top box, a valid subscription, or an OTT platform, a valid subscription again, the content can be distributed easily. And again, that's not just what they can do, it's what does happen.
So in terms of just diving a bit more into those trends, you know, I remember sort of 3 or 4 years ago it was all about BitTorrent and Pirate Bay and downloading movies, maybe in segments, and maybe you get to 99% and it wouldn't finish. The quality would be appalling. And as you say, a lot of people had that sort of collector mentality. You'd see the same with game ROMs. They would download thousands of these things, but it wasn't necessarily lost revenue because they were just downloading it because they could. Now we're moving to this world where a lot of this pirate content is being consumed on very popular platforms, and it's being consumed more or less on a needs basis. So it's not like, oh, I'll download it and one day I might watch it. It's like, there's a film starting or there's a TV show starting, I'll just search for that stream and jump straight into a pirate stream. That's pretty much what's happening now, isn't it?
And live sports is driving it as well.
Yeah.
You know, we say this all the time. For us, at this point, the money's in live sports. Live sports actually drove the shift of television from analog to digital.
Right.
It was paid subscription that was actually pushing the platforms to move digital, and now it's also driving the pirate ecosystem. The one thing people are willing to pay for regularly, month on month, for a whole season, year after year, is a sports subscription.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, top-end sports is an expensive business
Yeah.
for all involved, which then filters down to the paying subscriber. The paying subscribers having to pay often quite a lot of money for this sports. So it's an economic decision. If I pay X dollars a month for it, and I can get it for a tenth of that, for good enough quality, and it might occasionally drop out, it might frequently drop out, but frankly, if I'm only watching one game a week, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
They're the kind of decisions that are driving people to the pirate services.
Yeah.
And again, it's the availability. You could potentially get every sports channel in the world
Yeah.
for not many dollars a month, unfortunately. Yeah.
And that idea of life, effectively, the sports content has such a short shelf life.
Yes.
It's clip shows that are freely available within 3 or 4 hours.
Yep.
So it's that idea of the boxing match has just started, the football game's just kicked off, I can watch it in decent dish quality over this stream.
Yes.
Find that stream fairly easily. Now, we were talking earlier
On a big screen as well.
On a big screen as well,
The development of the networks, both upload and download now, means that you can stream pirate content in quality that's good enough for a 70-inch TV in your house. Again, it's not on the laptop anymore.
Yeah.
It's not in a dark room now. It's full-blown living room experience, often now with a quality TV guide, quality guide, a quality user experience, because they're pirates. There's so much money in the ecosystem now. The pirates are actually investing in their own technology.
Right. And it was surprising to me. You were saying that actually a lot of these streams are being carried on platforms we all use, effectively, like Facebook's platform and like YouTube's platform. So these are not sort of URLs or APIs you have to download and install into your browser or buy a Kodi box. This stuff is really only a quick search and your platform away.
There are a range of ways to find content now. You can pay for a pirate subscription service. You can find a free service. Usually the quality is not so good, or there's a lot of ads involved. You go to a website and you're just getting bombarded with often stuff that you don't want to see in terms of advertising, and certainly stuff you don't trust, but you're getting the video out of it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But alternatively, there are other platforms, there are other content platforms such as YouTube and Facebook, and what we found certainly recently for when we cover a lot of the large pay-per-view events, large boxing events for instance, Facebook is the platform of choice for the casual pirate. So the person sat at home with the phone, recording their TV screen. They paid for the pay-per-view event. They think, oh, I'm going to be a good guy for the world, and I'm going to put it on the internet.
Right.
Facebook is where it's going to go because, again, it's easy. It's a couple of clicks, bang, bang, phone live streaming up to Facebook. Facebook does all the heavy lifting. Your stuff is up on Facebook. And for a major pay-per-view event, we'll see many, many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people doing that.
Right.
It's that kind of scale. YouTube, it's not quite the same problem because YouTube tends to be more not about live streaming, it's about after the event. If someone might say, I'm going to put the whole event up in full HD on YouTube for other people to watch, they might do that.
Right.
Then, ideally, mechanisms are in place on both these platforms for the content to be protected and removed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they're both, certainly YouTube is more mature in this regard than Facebook, but Facebook have done a lot of work the last couple of years because they've recognized the problem, they recognize what people are doing, and the platforms are in place, the technology in place, and it's pretty solid now. It does a good job.
Well, apart from sounding as though some of those platforms are starting to act, that was fairly depressing, particularly if you're a broadcaster or you're a rights owner. What are we actually doing to try and, if not eliminate this, try and minimize these streams or the number of pirates that are doing these industrial scale restreaming?
Yeah.
What does Friend NTS do to help their customers do that?
Yeah, so we work in a space where we interface with a lot of different types of organizations. We work with content owners, we work with rights licensees, with broadcasters, programmers, channel providers, whatever you want to call them, and we also work with operators as well. Often the way the ecosystem works is that the content owner will tell the rights licensee, you've got to look after this content, you've got to make sure that people aren't stealing this content. But unfortunately the channel owner won't have access to the end user, so they can't really do much. So they have to pass the problem or the requirement down to the platform. So the broadcaster, the satellite broadcaster, or the IPTV provider, or the OTT service provider, and they tell them, you have to do things to protect this content. we will work with those telcos to implement certain technologies, but generally it's the channel owner or the content owner who are coming to us saying, I think I've got a problem, I've been told my content's all over the internet, what can you do about it? And so our services are there ready to help those guys. So the first thing we would often do when working with these guys is we will let them understand the problem, help them understand the problem. They say, I've been told my stuff's out there, it's turning up in Facebook, it's turning up on the internet, it's turning up in paid services, I think. I have no idea how much. And I don't know where it's coming from. So we will first of all use what we call our global monitoring platform to run a monitoring exercise for this customer. We will go out and we will understand the scale of the problem. We will use our extensive database of known sources of pirate content that we've been building up over 10 years. We have hundreds of thousands of known sources of pirate content. We will intelligently sample that set of pirate sources to download content, and then when we download it, we use technology we use called fingerprint. We have fingerprint technology which we can use to identify that content and confirm that it is actually content we care about, and then we can report back to the customer saying, this is how much is out there, this is where it's available, these are the platforms it's available on, because we will do broadcaster analysis, and then if it's significant enough, the customer will then say, okay, can you please do something about it for me? The next step is what we call traditional enforcement. So automated sending of DMCA notices, takedown notices, cease and desist letters. And we act on behalf of the content owner or the broadcaster to send these notices. Again, it's all heavily automated, it's done at massive scale. It's done very quickly, particularly in a live environment, you want it done straight away. If you're sending a message to a pirate organization, they will inevitably not respond. So we will then automatically escalate up to their infrastructure vendors, so hosting provider or CDN provider. And if it's a credible organization, such as an Akamai, they will respond, the stream will be removed, everything's good. Often though, the pirates are using what we call non-compliant vendors, non-compliant infrastructure providers, who are explicitly set up to service the pirates.
Interesting.
Increasingly.
So pirate CDN provider.
Absolutely, or pirate hosting providers. And it's a minor victory at least if you can force them onto those lesser vendors. Because we always say one stream on Akamai is very, very dangerous because it can scale almost infinitely. A stream on a little tin pot vendor, hanging out in the Seychelles, under cover of darkness,
gets massively successful.
They can't scale to the same way. If they all of a sudden start attracting a whole load of subscribers and a whole load of streams are having to come out of their platform, the quality of the experience is going to go down. So there is some benefit of pushing people down to that level. But ideally, you want to stop the service, and traditional enforcement is only ever so successful. Additionally, we're seeing more peer-to-peer distribution as well. That makes it more difficult to stop the service because there is no server to take down. So traditional enforcement's only so effective. What you really want to do beyond that, to have a really effective result, is identify who's stealing the content in the first place. So which set-top box subscriber is restreaming the content, is scraping and restreaming the content, or which OTT application is it coming out of? Which subscriber is stealing it and restreaming it? If you can take out that individual, either terminate subscription or block the video that they're putting out, or block the video they're receiving rather, they're going to be restreaming a black screen. And the black screen then will be distributed to all the pirate organizations and onto all the end pirate consumers. So it's cutting it off at the head, and you remove the scale of the problem, rather than constantly trying to knock out all these pirate services.
As and when
take out the source. If they have no source, they have no service. So the way we do that is through a technology called video watermarking. Watermarking is a non-visual, imperceptible, we like to say, imperceptible technology overlaid on the video. When we capture the video, we identify the video. If we believe it's come from an operator who is implementing the watermarking on the video, we can automatically extract that watermark, and that watermark will give us an identifier which we can feed back into the operator to say, this account or this identifier is currently restreaming live on the internet. And depending on the requirements, the operator can terminate straight away, or if it was found from a channel that was being broadcast 24 hours a day, a sports channel being broadcast 24 hours a day by the pirate, and we found it at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, there's not a lot of benefit from terminating it immediately because it might be the fishing channel or something at that time. So what the operator may want to do is just keep it, thank you very much, I know who they are, and then at 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, when Liverpool-Manchester United is just kicking off, all the IDs they've got, they'll terminate them all at that point for maximum impact. So any bars that are showing illegal football, from pirate services, all of a sudden they're going to lose their feeds, their experience is going to go down, the paying customers in the bars are going to be very, very unhappy. And then hopefully the bar manager is going to say, look, we've got to start paying for the proper thing because this isn't doing it. Similarly with pay-per-view boxing events, all the free events through the evening, let them go, let people watch those, but just as the big fight's starting at 11 o'clock, all the guys come back from the pub, they sat around the TV, congratulate themselves because they're not having to pay for the pay-per-view. Fight starts, first punch is thrown, bang, it's gone, because they've lost their source. And all of a sudden, chaos, find another one, 3 minutes later, look, we can't find another one, just pay. And we see this, the actual payments go boom, right through the roof.
I love that idea of almost that brinksmanship by the platform owners to sort of say, we'll let them go for now. We know who they are, and as you say, wait until the big event's on that everybody has to see, and then cut them all off.
Make them realise what they're missing out on.
You said something before we go on. You said something really interesting, sort of in your early part when you were talking about scanning for content. So you've got some of these pirate services that are 10 years old.
We've been building a list for 10 years.
But sorry, right. Okay.
It's the whole set. So it's streaming services, but it's also content repositories, cyber lockers. We work on automating Kodi plugins. Much of what we do is just automatic. We have a growing database constantly of sources, but additionally we have automated searching on the internet, looking for content. Twitter, automated hashtag searching or the like. But also where we do involve people, it tends to be on researching for additional sources. Often doing what you would do as an individual. If you were going to look for pirate content, we're doing it at the same time, looking for the same content. And when we find it, it goes in our list. Additionally, we're paying for all the pirate services anonymously, so we're signing up to them all. So we can get behind the paywalls and find out what they're putting out. So we know when we're asked to find it and protect it, we know it's there and what they're doing. Again, it's got to be automated. To do this properly at scale, you've got to automate it. You've got to have evolved tools and frankly a lot of clever stuff going on, which there is. But it allows us to do this at massive scale. We capture terabytes of video every day, thousands of hours of video every day. We sample it immediately, again, completely automated. We fingerprint it when we receive it to compare it against our reference library of fingerprints. And we affect that within a second, and once we're happy we've got about a 20-second overlap, we're certain we have the content, that is that content. And because we do it immediately, we can then extract the watermark immediately, and our watermarking is highly efficient, it's high performance. Often within a few seconds or less than a minute of video, we can get a result on a watermark match. And once we get to that point, if the operator is suitably integrated, we can feedback immediately that we have a result. So literally within a couple of minutes, a round of boxing, that's the kind of driver we have, we can tell an operator, this person is currently live streaming. So if they want to terminate them immediately, they can. But to do things in a live environment, you need to offer the whole thing end to end.
It's got to be automated.
There's no good being a tools vendor, just giving somebody a watermarking tool and saying, get on with it. That may be okay if compliance agreements haven't been written very well. If they only say you've just got a watermark, great, you can put a watermark in there. You're not going to do anything about it because you don't want to. You can't be bothered. You're not going to go look for content. You're not going to capture content. You're not going to identify content, and you're not going to pull out watermarks. And if you pull out watermarks, you're not going to actually give force on it and initiate prosecutions. But you can be compliant just by watermarking. But if you want to truly be effective, we need to offer the whole thing end to end.
So the watermarking, I mean, thinking about one of the previous sort of more analog efforts was, you had your on-screen channel ident.
We still have that.
You still search for that.
We still have
a lot of pirates could sort of scrub that out to stop auto-identification. You can't do that with watermarking, I presume. You can't strip that non-visible watermark content as easily.
Visual watermarks, we've seen quite a lot of attack on this in the last couple of years. The technology has moved along, the cost of the appliances have moved along. Unfortunately, there are specials being produced by countries in the East, which are just regular-looking appliances, which will take two HDMI inputs from two separate set-top boxes. One's the primary, one's a comparator. Looking at it frame by frame, if it sees any difference, it will just blur that area of the screen or blank the frame. And that's how.
So two accounts. And so anything
strings.
that's different between two accounts is something which is uniquely identifying the account.
So it could be an identifier popping up.
Right.
So,
Okay.
which is what we would call broadcast ID or receiver fingerprinting,
Right.
initiated by the CA system in the set-top box.
Right.
It can identify that and either blur that area, replicate some lines, or blank a frame.
Right.
And it can do that quickly and easily, and it can do it in real time.
Yeah.
So it's not post-processing of content and then play it out 24 hours later.
Yeah.
They can do this in real time with minimal latency. So that's why that kind of technology now is increasingly ineffective, increasingly being countered. Additionally, we have previous generation watermarking solutions where we had one ourselves, where we would flash up some dots for a fraction of a second.
Right.
It would be a unique dot pattern, which would translate to a unique identifier.
Yeah.
And so when we only needed literally one frame of video to be able to extract that pattern, to be able to feed back to the operator. But unfortunately, the technology that's out there now for the pirates, they can pick up these dots or the frame with the dots, and they can do something about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if they try to compare two and they try to blur out the areas that are different, for them, we'll be able to see all these little blurred areas on the screen, and we'll be able to extract two for the price of one.
So to be totally remove that, you'd have to take that frame out.
Take the frame out. Yeah. Some pirates aren't that clever yet, and we've been getting results where we've been able to pull out two results in one frame. But I think the days are numbered for that form of visual watermarking.
Okay, that's interesting.
The next generation is what we call full forensic watermarking. Think of a noise pattern overlaid on the video. There are different approaches actually. Ours is a client-side approach. We believe that's the most deployable and scalable approach. It's an overlay on top of the video, but it's an imperceptible noise pattern. So it's absolutely at minimum opacity, but it's pretty good stuff. We can extract it usually on a half decent quality capture. We can extract it in the order of a minute of video, or less, and that's on a completely production level opacity.
Don't need that. Don't worry about it.
That's a production level opacity where it's completely imperceptible, and it's studio approved. It's that good, and for 4K and HDR content. Sports watermarking is quite easy. You can be quite aggressive or robust with your opacity level, which makes it a lot easier to extract. Because there's lots of complex green grass moving around at high speed, and there's crowd scenes and multicolored heads. It can be a relatively high opacity level, and you just can't see it. But again, it makes it easy to extract. So even shorter clip of video, the 10-second highlight of the knockout, we can get a result. When you move on to 4K movies, very little movement, big blue skies, nothing happening. Lawrence of Arabia coming out in the camel over 5 minutes. When you get onto that kind of content, you've got to be a bit more refined. You've got to do additional things to randomize which pixels we show, and it's had pretty startling effects actually in terms of the quality. It's any little corner cases we've ironed out. And we also optimize about things like letterbox mode, where we don't watermark over the black areas of the screen. Switch off the watermarking when you're onto the 10 minutes of credits roll, and it's just almost all black. There are certain circumstances, in a dark room at night time on a massive TV on showroom settings, it's far too bright. You might be able to see a bit of a watermark, and that's the kind of corner case we refine on. We turn it off at that point, so there's absolutely no trace visible. But it's effective technology. We can extract from surprisingly bad captures. We've been through a test suite with a company called Cartesian. It's the nearest thing we have to an industry certification for extraction robustness. It's a whole set of tests: rescaling, upscaling, downscaling, rotating, skewing, introduction of noise, collusion attacks. We went through the whole set test. We got exceptional results. And it includes things like dropping the resolution down to 240 lines at 125 kilobits, right at the bottom end of commercial viability, and we can still extract.
At which point it's very little value to be watching that stream.
If you really wouldn't watch it, if it's to the point where you can't even make out a human head is a human head, you're not going to pay money to watch it. And the fact we can't extract a watermark, that's not an issue.
It doesn't really matter.
But if it's mobile phone quality, it's good enough to watch on a phone, then we need to be able to extract
do it. If it's that quality,
we need to be able to, because there is commercial value in that. All right, you're not going to show that on a big screen, but you're going to show it on a mobile phone. It's going to get passed around on mobile phones, and people will sell it to people on mobile phones. So we need to be able to extract that, and we can.
So one of the other areas, I think we've touched on this already, is it sounds like there's a lot more collaboration between, traditionally different industries. I'm thinking here specifically about some of the telco, connectivity industry, the rights holders and the broadcasters.
Yeah.
Telcos certainly were very standoffish about this kind of content thing 5 years ago, but it sounds as though as they now got into the content business in many cases, they're working together,
Yes.
or at least sharing info and working with you guys.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's about economics. It's about commercials, and operators are losing subscribers. We're seeing increases in churn, cord cutters, people going away, taking pirate services because it gives them enough for very little money, and they're saving money. But it's not good for the operators. The operators spend a lot of money on this content. They spend a lot of money on producing high quality experiences on high quality platforms. So they want to keep the subscribers. And so they will do their best to keep the subscribers, to stop their subscribers stealing content, because if they steal content, they'll lose the channels, and if they lose the channels, they'll lose more subscribers. And for the channel vendors, channel providers, they need to protect the content because they're paying a lot of money for this content. And if people could steal it from other channels on other platforms in other countries,
they no longer need to.
No one's going to pay to watch their channels. And piracy is global, and particularly when you look at live sports. Most of us are quite happy watching sports without commentary. And if you're in a bar, you have no commentary anyway.
Yes, you can't hear it.
And if the stream's coming from Thailand, if it's being broadcast live in Thailand now, it's quite easy to get it back into the UK now, live enough. It may have a logo of a foreign operator on there, outside of your country, but that doesn't bother the people in the bar. It's the same pictures. It's just with the commentary you're not even listening to. So it's got to be a global initiative. It's got to be a global effort. And longer term, what we see happening is that all of the platforms, all the operators will have to implement some form of subscriber level identification solution. It may be us, it doesn't have to be us, it doesn't have to be our watermarking, but they'll have to implement something so they can,
if they want that content at all.
If they want the platform,
really,
so if they want the content on their platform, they're going to have to protect the content. To do that, they're going to have to be able to identify the subscribers on their platform who are stealing content. When we get to that point and everybody's protecting content in that way, the pirates then will stop moving to the next open door, and we see that it will get more interesting then, because the pirates then will start trying to really attack the watermarking, and really try to work around the watermarking.
It's easier at the moment just to go to that second or that third platform.
Go where it's freely available. Why battle with the one where they're trying to catch you? Go to the one where they're not really bothered at the moment.
Simon, that's been fascinating. Last question. It's day 3 now. I was asking people on day 1 what they'd seen at the show, and they're like, "Oh, I just got here and I've been on my stand." You've had time to wander around?
I've had a bit of time, I made an effort, because typically we just stay on our stands and we give our pitch and we meet customers and we meet partners and we don't make it out as much as we want to make it out. I've had a bit of a look around. I wouldn't say it's the same stuff as last year. It's not. It always changes IBC. There's always new stuff. I think the interesting things for me, as a partner guy, it's interesting to see people like Akamai and AWS as well. Lots of demo pods, partner demo pods. The realization that better together is a very strong story for everybody. It's the way you really develop effective solutions. You need to get pre-integrations or understanding with partners, arrangements with partners, because it makes it easier for operators. Operators want low cost if they can get it, but also they want high performance, which comes from partner solutions and partner integrations, and they also want simplicity, and that comes from pre-integration, and people are already working together to get things in place. Now, because for operators, it's got to be simple, it's got to be quick to deploy, and it's got to be effective and performant.
That's interesting. Simon, thanks so much for joining us. That's been really fascinating.
Thank you.
I'm going to close off this session now. Join us at the top of the hour when we're going to have Tony and an Akamai team talking about some of the successes and some of the fascinating work we did around this year's World Cup. Thanks for watching.